Greetings. I'm Abdul Mohit Chaudhary, a Senior Program Officer at the South Center, an intergovernmental organization of developing countries. I head the South Center Tax Initiative, which is the South Center's flagship project for supporting developing countries in international taxation matters. I have contributed an article to the book Skewed, and my article looks at two multilateral policy solutions that have been developed for the critical issue of the taxation of the digitalized economy. One has been developed by the OECD and one by the United Nations. My article shows that the solution of the United Nations offers developing countries on average between 2 to 5 times more revenue than the OECD solution does. And this is a symptom of the larger issue with the OECD's role in international tax governance. We see that the outputs of the OECD, when they relate to the allocation of taxing rights, overwhelmingly favor the developed countries. This is not surprising because the OECD itself is composed entirely of developed countries. All of its members are high-income countries, and we see that its outputs, such as the Model Tax Convention of the OECD or the Transfer Pricing Guidelines, both predominantly allocate taxing rights to the developed countries. In recent years, there has been a growing pushback from developing countries against this very unequal system of international tax rulemaking, and their demand has been clear that it must be the United Nations which has the lead role in making rules of international taxation. We have seen that quite recently there was an important development in the United Nations General Assembly. In the second committee of the General Assembly, which discusses economic issues, the African group led by Nigeria introduced a draft resolution to begin negotiations on a UN tax convention. This was strongly resisted by the developed countries because they did not want to lose control over international taxation, which they have through the OECD, because shifting this to the United Nations would mean that all countries and not just the rich countries would have the say in making international tax rules. So this was very tensely negotiated. It even went to a vote where the developed countries were defeated, with 55 votes in favor from the developed countries against the idea of a UN tax convention and 97 votes in favor of a UN tax convention, all from the developing countries. So now we see that the United Nations is actually going to go ahead and begin negotiations on the possibility of a UN tax convention. This is a very big development for the international tax world, because it means the potential creation of a genuinely intergovernmental tax body at the UN, where all countries and not just developed countries can participate and create international tax rules which are fit and favorable for all. This requires the support of progressive actors from both the global north and the global south, because ultimately the current system where the OECD dominates means that the multinational companies are escaping taxes and not paying them anywhere, neither in the developed countries nor in the developing countries, and this is really contributing to extreme inequality. So I would encourage everyone to support the move by developing countries for a UN tax convention in the General Assembly, specifically, more generally, for a stronger role for the UN in international tax rulemaking. And my article, once again, looks at what steps can be taken to strengthen the role of the UN specifically for the taxation of the digitalized economy. Thank you very much, and thank you for the opportunity once again.